pronunciation here. Sanskrit called Archat or Arichat?
One minute. Archat.
Archat.
Yes.
Withdrew.
Withdrew.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
It was He only who withdrew the duration of life from everyone and who, in the battlefield, withdrew the speculative power and strength of enthusiasm from the great military phalanx made by the Kauravas, headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Shalya, etc. Their arrangement was expert and more than adequate, but He, Lord Sri Krishna, while going forward, did all this. Purport: the absolute personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, expands Himself by His plenary Paramatma portion in everyone's heart, and thus He directs everyone in the matter of recollection, forgetfulness, knowledge, the absence of intelligence, and all psychological activities. Bhagavad Gita 15.15. As the Supreme Lord, He can increase or decrease the duration of life of a living being. Thus the Lord conducted the battle of Kurukshetra according to His own plan. He wanted that battle to establish Yudhishthira as the emperor of his planet, and to facilitate this transcendental business, He killed all who were on the opposite party by His omnipotent will. The other party was equipped with all military strength supported by big generals like Bhishma, Drona, and Shalya, and it would have been physically impossible for Arjuna to win the battle had the Lord not helped him by every kind of tactic. Such tactics are generally followed by every statesman, even in modern warfare, but they are all done materially by powerful espionages, military tactics, and diplomatic maneuvers. But because Arjuna was the Lord's affectionate devotee, the Lord did all this Himself without personal anxiety by Arjuna. That is the way of the devotional service.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyadadesha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Mainly focus, if you so wish, on this 15:15 of Bhagavad Gita as Srila Prabhupada points towards, and then we'll also highlight personal anxiety and the way of devotional service to the Lord generally. Immediately, let's go to 15:15 and read, so that way we learn what Srila Prabhupada is trying to tell us here. We have extra time for reading them. Sarvasya chaham hridisani vishto matasmiti jnanam apohanam cha pradesh sarve aham eva vedyo vedanta grit veda vidheva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Do one paragraph each. 1, 2, 3.
The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from Him that all activities are initiated. The living entity forgets everything of his past life but he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is witness to all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also about his past life. Thus, the Lord is not only all pervading, he is also localized in every individual heart. He awards the different fruitive results. He is worshipable not only as the impersonal Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the localized Paramatma, but as the form of the incarnation of the Vedas as well. The Vedas give the right direction to people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and Krishna in his incarnation as Vyasadeva is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. The commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam gives the real understanding of Vedanta Sutra. The Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, he is the supplier and digester of foodstuff, the witness of his activity and the giver of knowledge in the form of Vedas, and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita. He is worshipable by the conditioned soul. Thus, God is all good, God is all merciful.
Ananta Pravishta Sastra Brahmanam. The living entity forgets as soon as he quits his present body, but he begins his work again, initiated by the Supreme Lord. Although he forgets, the God gives him intelligence to renew his work where he ended his last life. So not only does a living entity enjoy or suffer in this world according to the dictation, dictation from the Supreme Lord situated locally in the heart, but he receives the opportunity to understand the Vedas from him. If one is serious about understanding the Vedic knowledge, then Krishna gives the required intelligence. Why does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Because a living entity individually needs to understand Krishna. Vedic literature confirms this. Yoso sarve Vedir. In all Vedic literature, beginning from the four Vedas, Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishads and Puranas, the glories of the Supreme Personality, Supreme Lord are celebrated. By performance of Vedic rituals, discussion of the Vedic philosophy, and worship of the Lord in devotional service, he is attained. Therefore, the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Krishna. The Vedas gives us direction by which to understand Krishna and the process of realizing Him. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanta Sutra 1.1.4 confirms this in the following words. Tatto Samapadyat. One Samanvay. One can attain perfection in three stages. By understanding Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By performing different processes, one can approach him, and at the end, one can attain the Supreme Goal, who is no other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, the purpose of the Vedas, the understanding of the Vedas, and the goal of the Vedas are clearly defined. Krishna states, Tesham Sati Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buli Yogam Tam Yanamamu Payadite. Real intelligence is to know the difference between matter and spirit and what the goal of life is. Srila Prabhupada states that very clearly. Sometimes he would go to the institutions and ask, where is that department that shows the difference between living and dead body? And they didn't have an answer. He says that's not intelligence, actually. Here, he'll highlight in the translation, Arjuna had no personal anxiety. This is according to one website in 2024. Anxiety includes a number of emotions. which is broadly categorized. Last year, 43% of adults reported feeling more anxious than the previous year. It's considered the most. Anxiety is the worst mental problem. And let's get a quick definition here also of what it means. Modern terms. A feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. And here in the translation it states that Arjuna had no personal, that purport no personal anxiety. It's stated there about Srila Prabhupada. That is the way of devotional service. Well, let's move a little bit into this knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. And the goal of the Vedas. This is according to the Tattva Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami. Let's define the Sandarbha in case some don't know what it means. The Sandarbhas are one of Jiva Goswami's major works. Sandarbha literally means stringing together. Baladev explains the Vaisya Sandarbha is that which possesses various matters of importance which should be known. Bhagavatam verses are gathered together. Sandribhyate. Here, it states, it's Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.43. 1.3.43. Though Krishna left Dwarka, arrived at Prabhas, and then disappeared along with his 6 great qualities, this Purana, another form of the sun, has now risen in Kali Yuga for those who have lost their knowledge. Forgetfulness. Again. Here it states further, those who are actually advanced in knowledge, who know quality, who have accepted the best, praise Kali Yuga, because in this fallen age, all perfection of life can easily be achieved by the performance of Sankirtan. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.36. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada has prescribed, come to our center, chant Hare Krishna, dance in ecstasy, take prasadam, and go home. It's a very simple action. Just yesterday we visited the Mat over there in Santa Cruz because they got the Prabhu giving me an instruction. They wanted more than one book from there. We stopped by and there's one devotee from there, his name is Ādināth Prabhu. He said he was in Mexico and he was visiting various temples, and one Mataji was at the temple and she was supercharged with service, just going from one activity to the next relentlessly. And he was very inspired and shocked at the same time when he asked her, please explain how you're able to do this regularly. And he said, did you get a book? Did you get some philosophy? What did she said that I opened the book, Bhagavad Gita, and I saw surrender unto Krishna, and I closed the book. It's actually that simple, right? If one, surrender, give everything I have that I can do. And Krishna states that also. Right? This is in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. I am the strength of this strong devoid of passionate desire. Let's read that also. The point of that story is that devotional service is actually very simple. Krishna's words are very, in most cases, they're very simple in terms of their straightforwardness. It's the living entity like myself that complicates them. I want to take advantage of individuality. Krishna essentially in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is teaching us how to see him in everything. He says, I'm the fragrance, I'm sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles, etc. In this verse, he specifically states that I am the strength and He's also the Lord. And the Lord means is someone who is the highest ruler, Lord, Christ, etc. Krishna is that living entity. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetanam. Eko Bahuna means one person. Eko Banam Yavadadikam. He's desiring the desired objects or dispensing them for everyone. Now, this is a short report in the 7:11 of the Bhagavad Gita, entitled Knowledge of the Absolute, which Srila Prabhupada states on the power of Krishna's words. The strong man's strength should be applied to protect the weak, not for personal aggression. Similarly, sex life according to religious principles, dharma, should be for the propagation of children, not otherwise. The responsibility of parents is then to make their offspring Krishna conscious. Even in the biblical followers, there's this process of presenting the child to God, baptizing them. There's some disagreements on that, whether a child, there are some faiths that believe the child should be baptized immediately after birth, and some that wait until they're well reasoned. The way I was brought up there in this apostolic Christianity is that one only gets a baptism, which is synonymous with Diksha, initiation in our philosophy, is that they must come to an age where they can understand clearly what is good and what is evil, and then make a conscious choice in which to pursue good on a regular basis. There's some philosophies of the Bible differ on that principle. The idea is that material age is not so important, especially given the context of Shukadeva Goswami in there. As well as the Bhagavatam states that a 7 months fetus is able to receive transcendental information, Parikshit Maharaj within the womb, etc. Their examples are there. And therefore the samskaras and generally are prescribed for those. That way those impressions can be implanted to the fetus. Now, we'll see a little bit about why it's so important to study the Srimad Bhagavatam in relationship to not having anxiety and the way of devotional service. Vyasa had his son Shukadeva, best of the self-control, study this scripture, which is the very essence of all the Vedas and histories. Krishna states in 1559 to be known by all the Vedas, and now here, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.41, Vyasa is telling Shukadeva Goswami to study this sacred scripture. Why? Because it's the essence of all the Vedas. Just as when one goes and wants to start a nutritional plan and goes to the store, it's best to stay in the island in the middle and stay away from all the edges of the store, because that's the essence. Everything else is not really conducive for health in general. It has to be unwrapped, microwaved, and has numbers and letters and so forth and ingredients. It's best to stay away from it. So similarly, that if one studies the Vedas and supplementary information, and it's not taking one closer to Krishna, then it's actually useless, waste of time, energy, resource. And therefore it's being stated here by the Bhagavatam itself, which is Krishna in literary form, that this is the essence of all the Vedas and the histories. Srimad Bhagavatam is declared to be the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. One who has felt satisfaction from its sweet rasa will never be attracted to any other literature. And that's also stated at the end by itself, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter. To completely reject from all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavad Purana proclaims the highest truth, which is understandable by those who are truly pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries of Arjuna having no anxiety. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasa, Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively, it's that Latin, ad towards, and tendere, to stretch, but one stretches one's mind towards the subject matter of the Bhagavatam. As soon as one attentively and submissively, now submissively means in one's mood, one should have the proper mood. It's advised. Hear the message of the Bhagavatam. By this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Srila Prabhupada purports, man is thriving economically, so at the present he is not very interested in religion. Churches, mosques, or temples are now practically vacant. Men are more interested in factories, shops, and cinemas than in religious places which were erected by their forefathers. This practically proves that religion is performed for some economic gains. Economic gains are needed for sense gratification. Often, when one is baffled in the pursuit of sense gratification, he takes to salvation and tries to become one with the Supreme Lord. Consequently, all these states are simply different types of sense gratification. A few more lines. In the Vedas, the above-mentioned 4 activities are prescribed in the regulated way, so that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. Yeah, that's one Srila But Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratificatory activities. It is purely transcendental literature, which can be understood only by the pure devotees of the Lord, who are transcendental to competitive sense gratification. One byproduct of understanding the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is synonymous with understanding Krishna to a considerable extent, is that one reduces their 4 defects of mistakes, illusion, cheating, and inadequate sensory prowess. Now, relating back to anxiety, because this is related, this is just yesterday morning that Mataji Manasi, she gave this about Dhruva Maharaj's pastime, right, in which there is enviousness, and she stated there the pearl of wisdom was that as one envies what someone else has, they forget what they have, right? And therefore, there's several places in the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita where one can be only know Krishna if they're not envious. And one must be extremely humble. And Krishna also states that also, Adhyaji Mama Namaskuru. This is we offer obeisances, right? At least in theory, one must be considerably humble to a certain extent in which to offer obeisances to someone else. And it's also a natural feeling. And maybe you all can resonate. When we bow down, especially if we haven't eaten, mostly fasted, it feels very good actually. It's a natural thing, just as this body is made for devotional service, made to grab things and offer them up. The voice is meant to sing the glories. They're all there. the eyes are meant to look at beautiful things, Krishna himself or paraphernalia in relationship. Hear the beautiful pastimes of Krishna and his devotees, and then touch the devotees' feet that are engaged in service, and touch the and use one's body to take them to the holy places of pilgrimage. And which is stated, Srila Prabhupada states, it's actually the tirthapadas, they're meant for going and inquiring about the truth and learning more in one's path of devotional service. They're not meant to just take a bath in the Ganges, although that's nice also, but actually have a meaningful experience by gaining more knowledge. Now, here, let's come back to the when one is envious. I really liked that in the presentation yesterday, how one can be happy for free by offering sweet words of being, and then being envious, right? And then this is in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1:18-28 on the codes of the law of reception according to Vedic principles. That one simply, if a poor man is there and one receives a guest, that three things should be there. One, a straw mat for sitting. Two is some drinking water. And three is sweet words. And then it can be offered to anyone. And that is sufficient enough itself to please that personality or the group. And this way one can become happy. Also, the happiness for free is based on good manners. It was interesting in the etymology of manners. Manorius, Latin, belonging to the hand. What one does, it was further elaborated. What one does and their thinking, feeling, and willing essentially was the definition there. Manners. And this also in Spanish they say manera. So, ¿con cuál manera estuviste con esta persona? ¿Cómo, en cuál manera portaste con esta persona? In what manner did you behave with that person? How it has to do with treatment, how one behaves internally and externally. Let's say bedside manners, etc. And in synonymous with this was mode or method. Modus means a method. Meta in pursuit. A following after plus hodus. This is method. A method, system, or way of doing, saying, etc. Meta and hodus, Latin. System or way of doing, etc. Now the devotees, they're expert in manners towards everyone, actually, especially the Supreme Lord. And one way that one may understand what is proper behavior is trying to please Krishna always. And Srila Prabhupada was once asked by someone, now how will someone be able to recognize of someone who's Krishna conscious or devotee of the Lord? He said, they'll be the perfect gentleman. Now, there's one pastime which I'll start to wrap up with here in regards to Krishna and Rukmini. One time, Krishna was leaving in the dead of night, and Rukmini's queen said, "Where are you going?" Like a typical wife. You have 16,108 wives, including me, and you're leaving in the middle. Where could you possibly go? What do you want? And he said, "Come with me, I'll show you." So I went over to Arjuna. And he said, and Arjuna was sleeping. And he said, "No, come here, with your hand, just grab his hair and put it to your ear." She said, "No, no, no. I'm your wife. How can I grab Arjuna's hair? That's not proper." He said, "No, no, I'm telling you. You go and grab his hair and you put it to your ear." She says, "Okay." So she goes over there and very gently grabs his hair. And Arjuna's hair is saying, "Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna." So Krishna said, "That's why I'm coming over here to Arjuna." because his hair is emanating my holy names. This is the proper behavior devotee. Now, I'll share one video of what this practically looks like, if you all don't mind. It's only 53 seconds. This is how we make our life perfect. Summary. Mainly, we went over how devotee becomes anxietyless, personally anxietyless, by rendering devotional service through proper manners. And in this way, Krishna will view the intelligence to remember and make proper choices in life. That way, even in sleeping, one can remember Krishna. Now, we'll open up for any questions, comments, and friendly challenges. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
You started the class by saying that if there's an increase in 43% increase in the anxiety in people.
Mhm.
So the external symptoms of anxiety and excitement are exactly the same, but what they do internally are exactly the opposite. One is deteriorating and destructive, one is life-giving and enlivening. And it goes to show that people are afraid. And the whole, like one of the purposes of the Bhagavatam is to make one realize that they can be fearless when they know that Krishna is a protector. And in that sense, they are free from anxiety. So they can always be enlivened and excited. And the external symptoms will be the same. They don't know what's going to happen, but then they have a positive outlook that they don't have to worry about someone taking care of them because they know Krishna is the savior and protector. So I was just reflecting on that and it started off really fast.
Yeah, it's nice. It's such a beautiful point. Thank you for that. In this regard, this is in psychology one cognitive principle known as thin slicing. Thin slicing means that in a very short amount of time, we all do it, that one can get a lot of information. And of course, there's always a chance that it may be wrong. However, when we come in contact with devotees, we thin slice right away. Are they happy? Are they worried? We're constantly observing this in a very short amount of time. And this one book called Blink, real quick, this gentleman says in terms of relationships, specifically marital, if there is defensiveness, stonewalling, criticism, and worst of all, contempt means where I put someone in fear to me, they'll understand that that will not last. Do we have anything like this in regards to Krishna or his devotees? One will not last in the devotional service. In the same way, one will have this excitement about it. They have a proper understanding of what one's position is. Even though if they're still unknown, they, again, as you're saying, they have this excitement. And one can thin slice this. How do we know Srimad Bhagavatam's ultimate literature? Just take a small taste of it and understand. It gives the best information about Krishna. In this way, yeah, excitement and fear. Thank you. So to share 3-4 minutes.
And like we point about, you mentioned the body is meant to be used for the devotional service, and how sweet words are important for pleasing someone. And like you, how you showed the video of the Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, when there is a video of Prabhupada during his last moments. Devotees are finding him, and even if he's like kind of sleepy, but he's still talking, like how about devotional service. And devotees are matching in lollipop what Prabhupada said.
So it's a beautiful video.
Yeah.
It's very heart touching. It's by proper association. So
Yeah.
one associates with goodness
Yeah.
from that stage. Yeah.
And about loneliness, they are saying that loneliness is the new pandemic.
So true. Hiding in unnatural happiness, smiling face, crying heart. Maybe we know everyone around us, all the entourage, yet one will still feel lonely because the heart is empty. True. And it needs spiritual nourishment. Spiritual nourishment.
And the request, like we made, like we should take lessons, please, and you will consider it.
Nobody want to answer? Oh yeah.
This is minor question. I think in the reference to 115, Prabhupada says that all psychological activities for Krishna. So is the soul naturally just calm?
Yeah, such it ananda. It's eternal. It's fully cognizant, and it's blissful by nature. Yeah, and so you go.
But then I guess the emotions in the spiritual world are different. That's like Krishna puts that on. There's anxiety, fear. So because of those exist there, for the rasa.
Yeah, this is answered in 1, 2. The supersoul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. So mind, thinking, feeling, willing. Any emotion that is not positive in nature, we can say this is brought on by oneself due to either neglectfulness or forgetfulness. Broadly speaking.
I guess for us, especially calm.
Yeah.
In all circumstances. Unless it's really needed, you'll take measures, but generally you have to be calm instead.
Yeah, one is peaceful. Krishna states that too. Shanti. Shanti. One the first stage is peacefulness, essentially. One first recognizes their less than righteous activities, then becomes repentant, and then asks for prayer, and then is grateful, and then naturally becomes peaceful, and then from peacefulness can become happy, from happy can become knowledgeable to loving, because love is based on knowledge. There's a whole breakdown. At least that's the way it happened for me. Trying to.
But like for example, you bring up anxiety, because of some that's all just the mind. Could you say it that way? Because if that didn't exist, then you wouldn't that environment wouldn't feel that situation wouldn't feel serious.
There's material anxiety and spiritual anxiety. Yeah. Material anxiety means that which is not in alignment with Krishna or his devotees' will. And spiritual anxiety is, for example, trying to make the offering by 7:15.
Do those both come from the mind? Those subtle apply both types of emotions for us.
Which emotions?
Like you said, spiritual anxiety, does that come from the mind?
Well, one material anxiety comes from the material mind.
Spiritual anxiety comes from the world.
The spirit, the soul.
Soul, right?
Yeah. Even in the spiritual realm, the same again. Perverted reflection. It states in the Bhagavatam 15:1.
And that comes from the heart.
Yeah, and also it's enlivening, is what we're saying. One is based on fear, and one is based on love.
Which one seems like anxiety and Krishna also wise of Kali.
I was just thinking, I think they were hugging the trees when they were at the other trees. I think we were in the Like there was a demon in front of them, and all the trees around them were like dark hue. So they just immediately hug the trees, thinking it's Krishna.
Krishna, yes, yeah.
Very love. That's spiritual. Based on love.
Yeah. A few minutes over. Let me know something real quick I want to share.
This is Ādināth Krishna.